Okay, so the Super Eagles are on to the next stage, the round of 16 of the African Nations Cup. Congratulations for a very impressive performance in the entire first round. We've never had it this good. I mean, in a very long time, we haven't had it this good. So kudos to the players, kudos to the management, kudos to everybody. Congratulations to Nigerians. Once again, Nigeria beat Guinea Bissau by 2 goals to nil. Could have easily been more in a very, very dominating performance. It wasn't quite as impressive initially as the earlier games, the game against Egypt and the game against Sudan. They didn't really do as well because for obvious reasons. Now, there was surely a drop in quality between the first team and the second team because we had 8 changes in this Guinea-Bissau game. Just the coach only retained Captain William Troost Ekong, Wilfred Ndidi, and of course Kelechi Iheanacho. Those were the only players retained from the starting lineup in the other 2 games. So obviously the team would struggle with an apparent lack of synergy between the players because a lot of them were playing in that scenario together for the first time. I mean, they're training together, but it's a different ball game from a match situation. So that accounted for the drop in quality of the performance. But at the end of the day, a good side triumph 2-0 over Guinea-Bissau, who put up a spirited fight because, I mean, in the early exchanges, Nigeria seemed to have the upper hand. But when Nigeria refused to make it count, the Guinea-Bissau team actually came back on their own. They grew in confidence, and they also put up a fight. They actually troubled the Nigerian side a couple of times. So overall, we see from that performance that there's still quite some talent. There's still quite some talent in the Nigerian side that only requires some expertise, some coaching to optimize what we have. So we saw based on the players' performances, we saw Francis Uzoho come back like he never left. He was amazing. I still feel he should have started the other games, but I mean, he was as good as Okoye has also proven himself. So Francis Uzoho was very impressive too. Not a lot to do, but he was just on point where he was called on. Tyrone Ebuehi stood in for Ola Aina, and for me, he offered a lot more even going forward than Ola Aina did in the 2 previous games. Tyrone Ebuehi is another very silent performer in the Super Eagles, and he's got parts and parts of quality, and he's got a long future ahead of him as well. So he was a dependable backup for Ola Aina, and he did quite well. Jamilu Collins was just Jamilu Collins. Nothing extravagant, nothing extraordinary about his game. He just had a typical quiet game, just an effective game, so he did well. William Troost Ekong seems to be improving with every passing game, and then that goal he scored will always, do a lot to his confidence. It really boosts. That's apparently his 3rd or 4th goal for the national team, so he's leading very well from the back. Semi Ajayi was simply a tower. He was simply stand out for me. He was really, really amazing. He proved once again what I've been saying about club form or where you play not being relevant. He was dropped. He didn't make this team. Leon Balogun was the first choice for this position, but we have seen Omeruo come in and perform creditably in the absence of Balogun. We've seen Semi Ajayi come in and do as well, if not better than Kenneth Omeruo. So where is this thing about players being picked based on where they're playing? Just because Semi Ajayi was a member of this team when West Bromwich Albion was in the Premier League. So West Bromwich Albion gets relegated to the Championship, and suddenly Semi Ajayi is out of the Super Eagles because he now plays in the Championship. I think that's absurd. I think that doesn't make sense to me. So Semi Ajayi, once again, we have seen who we would have dropped for Leon Balogun, who is slowing down. Semi Ajayi was, for me, excellent. He was excellent. It's going to be difficult to pick between he and Kenneth Omeruo for the next game, in my opinion. He was simply a tower at the back. Wilfred Ndidi keeps impressing. My fear for Wilfred Ndidi is I hope he stays fit. I don't want anything to happen to Wilfred Ndidi because it will be a really big loss to that team if for some reason Ndidi cannot play in any game. So we need to start thinking ahead and planning for that eventuality. We don't hope for it, but we should have that at the back of our minds. The officials should have that at the back of their minds that Wilfred Ndidi is simply one of the most indispensable players in this team, and that shouldn't be the case. Kelechi Iheanacho continues to show his talent and experience, and very instructively, he's playing in a formation that suits him. I remember back then when the team was playing in more like a 4-3-3 formation, Kelechi struggled a little bit. But now in a 4-4-2, he's well at home in that position, and that's why he's doing so well for club and for country. So Kelechi Iheanacho has continued to keep up the promise he showed at under 17 as he, continues to help lead this team into the future. Um, for all the criticism he got, Sadiq Umar got his first goal for the Super Eagles. Congratulations to Sadiq Umar. I'm sure that goal will really do a lot to boost his confidence. But in all sincerity, doubts remain as to his suitability for the Super Eagles. Is Sadiq Umar that player for the Super Eagles? Does he rank amongst the top 5 strikers for this country? I don't think he does. I don't know what you think. So you can also, tell me what you think in the comment section below. But my opinion is Sadiq Umar is a great player. He's a young, good talent coming up. But does he cut it for the Super Eagles? I absolutely think not. You're looking at people like Emmanuel Dennis. You're looking at Paul Unachu. You're looking at Cyril Dazers. You're looking at a whole lot of players who haven't been invited to the Super Eagles. So I don't think he's been lucky. He got into the team. He's done well. He got a goal. Fantastic. But I'm saying going forward, that slot, I think we have a lot more players who would do better in that team than Sadiq Umar. My opinion. Chidera Ejuke and Alex Iwobi, for all the clamor for their inclusion, for all my clamor for the inclusion personally, right? They struggled and they were duly criticized. They've been criticized. And I agree, and I will criticize them, but to an extent. Now, like I said earlier, aside his flamboyance and extravagance and all the showboating, Chidera Ejuke is a good player, but I think it's more about tactics. Now, what was done is there were a lot of like-for-like changes. So Ejuke came in for Moses Simon. Iwobi came in straight up for Samuel Chukwueze, that kind of thing. So you have a scenario where a player just replaces the other player in the same formation, forgetting that their strengths and their skill sets are not the same. Those other players will struggle. A team is always at its best when the players are utilized to their strength. So you have a crop of players, you have a group of players, right? You pick them and you devise a tactic, a formation that suits the players you have available. So when you have to drop your entire first team, right, it's not enough to have like-for-like replacements in the same formation, because Ejuke does not play exactly the same way as Moses Simon. Alex Iwobi doesn't play the same way exactly as Samuel Chukwueze. Same thing goes for Henry Onyekuru, who later replaced Iwobi. I think he was shifted to the right. Anyway, he came on for Iheanacho. The Iwobi went into the center and he switched to the right. It's the same thing. Henry Onyekuru will not be a Samuel Chukwueze on the right. So when people now, sit back to criticize the substitutes and say, oh, no wonder they're sitting on the bench, I'll tend to disagree. Onyekuru, for all I know, does even better playing in a 3-man formation, playing from the left of the attack. So it's just a makeshift arrangement when you have like-for-like replacements for players in your first team. They will never exactly play to the standard or to the levels you are used to seeing the regulars play. So that doesn't make them bad players. So players need to be deployed based on their strengths, based on their skill set. So this is something I feel the officials should take into the next round of competition. It should narrow down a bit more to players specifics, to specific skill sets, specific talents, right? And utilize players based on what they have, based on what they offer the team, and not just as direct or one like-for-like replacements for the other players in the team. We have seen Sadiq Umar, for instance, is not a Victor Osimhen. He's not a Taiwo Awoniyi. All right, Taiwo Awoniyi might be better at holding up play, okay, but you expect Sadiq to be able to do that because he has a tall frame and all that. But he may not have the same strength. He may not have the same ball holding ability like Taiwo Awoniyi or a Victor Osimhen. So when you play him as a like-for-like replacement for Awoniyi, then he will not exactly perform the way Awoniyi performed, and you are tempted to say or to feel like, oh, he's not as good. No, that's not necessarily true. So generally, players should. So the same thing goes with Tyrone Ebueyi. He offered more in attacking sense than Ola Aina. That doesn't make him or Lino worse than the other. They're just different. So we need to pay attention to that. The coaches need to pay attention to that aspect of the players' games and deploy players based on their strengths, based on their skill sets. If you have to tweak the formation, so be it. If you have to tweak the formation to accommodate some other players, so be it. But it has to be ultimately for the success of the team. It has to be ultimately for the goal of winning a particular game or a particular competition. So for me, round of the group stages is over. Nigeria has gone through, and we're meeting the third place team in, I think, Group B, C, and F or so. Sorry, I don't have that data right now. So, but for me, the player of the first round was easily Moses Simon. Moses Simon has really stood out for the team, and also the man of the tournament so far for Nigeria for me is easily Austin Iguavon. He has worked wonders with the same group of players that General Raw left. Wise move. He did not overhaul the team. He came on and picked up basically the same set of players, the same group of players, infused one or two as a result of injuries, as a result of illness. He now switched a few players, and what we have is a far better team, or a far better performing team than we ever had during General Raw's time. So big kudos to Coach Austin Iguavon. I had my doubts sincerely about Iguavon's performance, what to expect from him, but he has absolutely blown me away, and I'm sure he's done to a lot of other Nigerians. So tell me what you think about the Super Eagles first round performance in the AFCON in the comment section as we move on to the next set of games, and we look forward to success in this tournament. So we'll see you on Sunday at the next game.